Hi, so in this video I am following a tutorial on how to knit a raglan sweater. The tutorial is by Ashley Lillis. I'll link it down below. And it's my first time knitting a sweater, so I ended up with a lot of flaws in it. The yarn I'm using is Hometown by Lion Brand yarn, and the colors I used are Portland Wine, Jacksonville Taffy, and South Dakota Black. The reason that I picked this specific project is because I wanted to use a bulkier yarn because I knew that the sweater would build up quicker, and I had wanted to finish this pretty quickly so I didn't get burnt out. So I ran into problems pretty much immediately doing this sweater. I had to redo the collar like 3 times, and then once I started doing the increases, I kept noticing that there was holes near the increases, which means that I didn't, and some parts didn't add the increase. So there's not as many stitches as there should be on it. And also, when I watched how to change yarn colors to do the stripes, I watched it how to do it flat instead of in the round, which it makes a difference, and there was gaps. So I have to sew those back together. But I think maybe I shouldn't have started with a striped sweater. Maybe I probably should have just done one color to make it maybe a little bit easier on myself, since this was my first time knitting something. But it's looking good now that I have the hang of it. But the very beginning has a few issues with it. But like I said, I think I would just drop it if I kept restarting it, and I didn't want to do that. So I just the inconsistencies aren't too bad, and for the most part are hideable. So I have just been powering through it to because it still looks good. I like it, but there's just things that I'll have to pay closer attention next time, and I'll probably go back to fix. I would go back to fix it if I noticed and it was reasonable to go back, but some of the things I didn't realize what I was doing wrong until rows and rows after. So I was it looks fine. I'm probably the only one that's gonna notice. I am just gonna deal with it. I ran into also when I would do the magic knot tie to use my next skein of one color, and this yarn is not good for doing the magic knot. The magic knots both ended up on the outside of the sweater, so I have knots just showing, and I was oh, okay. So I learned not to do that with this yarn. I have to do just how you would change colors. That's how I ended up making it work, is instead of tying it together, just acting like I was changing colors, but it was the same color. I also ended up getting a yarn winder for Christmas, and because I had been putting off buying it myself. But I think I'm too rough with cakes because they kept falling apart and tangling, so I'm just having a learning experience. Okay, well, this is the finished product. You already saw it because of the B-roll footage at the beginning, but yeah, this was my first knit, full knit project. I've done scarves and stuff. This was my first sweater, and I'm a little disappointed because I don't like the collar. That's why I'm wearing a turtleneck underneath it, because I think it looks pretty weird by itself. I had a little bit higher hopes for it, but I still think it's cute and wearable. It's just kind of bulky. Definitely a colder weather sweater. It's been hot for the past week, so luckily today when I filmed the B-roll footage, it was actually cold enough that I wasn't sweating profusely while filming that. So that's nice. I think if I were to do this again, at the very least for the collar, I would use a smaller gauge knitting needles to start, because I just think the collar is way too wide. Maybe I'll take my turtleneck off at some point to show that it looks kind of weird. I'm still pretty happy with it. It's still wearable, but I wouldn't put it in my favorite projects. I'll probably take this off to show what I was talking about a little bit more, with the gaps that are in it and some of the mistakes I made. I know I'm dogging on it a little bit, but I do really like this sweater still, even if it isn't one of my favorites. I really want to do another knit project. I like doing it in the round because I don't like having to knit and then purl and then sew stuff together. Knitting in the round is perfect for me, but I just don't know how to do it very well. So I'm really looking forward to the next time I do a knit project. I'm just wanting to do one that I can follow the pattern really closely so it comes out good, like this one. The yarn I used was the same brand, same weight, same everything as the tutorial, so I was pretty confident in following the instructions on that one. I would like to do that again with a different project so I can maybe get a little bit more of a grasp on knitting in the round. I'm looking forward to the next time I do one. I just haven't gotten the materials for it yet. I have a lot of yarn and a lot of yarn dedicated to other stuff already, so I'll get there when I get there, I guess. You can kind of see, this is where I first started, and all of the stitches are kind of weird. messed up. I sewed it together so there's not as many gaps as there was, but you can kind of like see some of the bigger gaps. So that is where I kept having, where my round was ending, and where I kept having to change colors before I knew how to properly do it. And you can kind of still see the gaps that are there. I sewed a lot of it up, but they still kind of show a little bit. So I also washed it, and maybe that wasn't the move. I didn't block it, and I did wash it. I was afraid of blocking it because I was afraid of ruining it. So I don't really know how to block yet, but maybe I'll figure it out eventually when I'm not scared of. I was going to do it. Like, I know that people are always like, you should block your knits after all the time. It always turns out better. But then I was like trying to read up on how to block knits, and then it was like people were saying that it's easy to ruin it. So it kind of scared me away from blocking it. So I still haven't done that. It might be too late. I don't know. It came out good. I like it still. That's the knot I was talking about when I was switching colors and I tried to do the magic knot. Came out a little rough. So that's the back of the sweater. That's what made me decide that was the back of the sweater. Oh, another thing that happened was once I washed this, all of the tail ends that I had painstakingly tucked away just all popped out. Just all of them. So that was cool. I had to go take care of that again after that. That was super neat. But yeah, I think that was probably... It was a rough first knit. Okay, it's fine. In the comments of my Elviona Halim recreation sweater, someone had asked me how long specifically it took to make it. So I think the next couple projects I'm not gonna have the time on because I'm halfway done with them already, but from now on, any project I do, I'm gonna keep a close eye on how long it takes me to do them. I'll include that from now on in my videos. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, more knitting and crocheting, just craft content like this, like and subscribe, and maybe, I don't know, comment down below what you thought, or even just tell me about your projects. I'm pretty passionate about this stuff, so I like talking to other people about it. And my editor has his own channel. Really? I have it on my channel, but there'll be a link in description too if you want to check that out. He does pretty cool videos. Words of wisdom: don't hang your knitted and crocheted stuff. It'll stretch out the stitches. Just don't do it. People don't say that often. Just don't do it. Just fold it. Thank you for watching. Bye. Bye. Bye.